Post show number 17.
It's time for the post show.
Thank you, you two. Let's go to the post show. Hello, Internet, and welcome back for episode 17 of our post show, where we talk after the podcast every week. We come to you on a Friday, comes early for our patrons over on patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where we talk off topic to do with gaming still, usually, and other mixture of other good things that people send in and write into us about. I'm joined, as always, Chris, by my lovely two co-hosts who were singing just before introducing post show number 17. Did they know I was recording the singing? Who knows, but thank you for that amazing rendition of the post show song, Tom and Richie. Joining me once again this week, Tom, top to the left, techie teacher. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. And below him, many pixels, currently ordering his Christmas tree online, Mr. Richie.
I already own a Christmas tree, but I do need another one for the set here.
For the set.
Just to make it a bit more Christmassy for the winter season.
Yeah.
For next month, not this one though.
Well, yeah, of course, especially if the goddamn Christmas Coca-Cola truck isn't coming through our neighbourhood.
Yeah. I actually don't have a lot of Christmas decorations anyway. I chucked them all out when I moved last year because they were all getting old and crappy.
Oh, I was going to say, that seems counterproductive. You're moving to a new house and throw all your decorations out.
Yeah, I did buy like a new tree and stuff, but I didn't buy a lot because, money.
That'll do. All that money can be spent on Coca-Cola. Am I right, Tom?
True that.
True that.
I'm actually on Coke Zero right now.
Coke Zero, well...
Not tea. You're telling me that's not tea in that Mr. T mug?
Oh, actually, funny...
How cool is it? It's got like the knuckle dusters as well.
I pity the fool who don't drink no tea.
So, funny enough, Richie, I noticed the other day, I was showing the wife some of the footage from your Far Cry video of the glitch part, because we thought it was hilarious. You drink from a cup of tea or a mug quite regularly. It's usually the Sounds of Stadia mug, actually. In your mirror dimension, we can see you pouring Monster into your cup. So it's not a secret anymore. He's not drinking tea or coffee like a true Brit, ladies and gentlemen. He's in fact pouring energy drink into that mug. Spoilers.
Well, honestly, I started drinking out the mug more because occasionally I'll have a beer on stream, and eventually we want to monetize videos a bit more, and advertisers don't like you drinking on stream.
Well, it depends if they're Corona or Budweiser or anything else that's smeared off. Yeah. But one day, we'll do a big drunk stream one day, I'm sure. With the caveat that we'll drink it out of clear plastic glasses so no one can see. Although those traditional red cups that the US audience loves so much. It's not a party without a red plastic cup, right? Speaking of parties in America, we're here this week to talk about a follow-on from last week. We're talking Games of a Generation, everybody. We've wrapped up with Nintendo last week. We've wrapped up now, at your time of listening, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X are out in the wild. I have one. This is past Chris, who was sad and only has a controller and no games to play them on. This time, when this goes live, I'm playing PlayStation 5 right this very moment, all day long, and I'm going to love it.
Unless you're a Patreon supporter.
Unless you're a Patreon supporter, and I'm still sad, Chris. Not playing the games right now. But we are here this week to not talk about PlayStation, but talk about Microsoft. So last week we covered in depth the amazing first-party list of games that Nintendo have dropped on us through the Switch generation. Stellar titles, stellar games. We gushed, we loved, we talked about them for an extended period of time. This week we are focusing on the Redmond developed studio-based thing, Microsoft. You might have heard of them, little startup company.
Yeah, small guys.
Small guys. Although we do have to caveat, we've said we're not going to be able to go through a sales list with Microsoft because we know they've been awfully secretive about their numbers ever since pretty much their launch window of the last generation. Let's be honest, no offense to Microsoft out there, but they didn't do themselves justice this past generation. As a PlayStation fan, I don't want to see them do bad, but let's be honest, in terms of sales, they got absolutely shown out the door this time round. And hopefully, it's the cusp of a new generation, competition's healthy, they can all flourish and do amazing together, including Stadia, which is why you guys are probably here on this channel. So with the way the sales have been numbered, and Game Pass being an amazing proposition we've spoken about on the podcast many, many times, you get all of their first-party titles day and date on launch. So Gears of War, Halo. So in terms of sales numbers, they're a bit skewed. It's hard to find any hard metrics to do with what's done well and what hasn't.
When you're not actually selling the game, it's hard to use your sales numbers.
Yeah, like titles like Sea of Thieves and such, which we're going to get around to. It's hard to judge, so we thought this week it would be better to maybe just talk through some of the titles that are important to us, which we have played, and some that we've appreciated from a distance, because in all honesty, I only have Game Pass. Tom, what's your history with Microsoft at this moment in time?
I used to play a lot on 360. I was actually an Xbox 360 player as opposed to a PlayStation 3 player, so that was the generation where I sort of flexed and moved across. Arguably, I'd say the Xbox 360 had the better lineup compared to the PS3, but then Microsoft went and threw that out the window for some reason with the Xbox One.
Remember the Kinect?
Yeah, the Kinect. Oh yeah. But yeah, since then I've sort of moved away. I did trial the Game Pass for PC, as well as for cloud gaming as well. So that's sort of my experience, really.
And how about you, Richie? You're similar to me, I believe.
Yeah, well, I've always kind of admired the technology behind the Xbox. Even the Kinect was actually pretty cool. We've talked before about having my old flatmate had the Kinect, and we were playing Alien Isolation. That actually added something to the game. But I've never wanted to own an Xbox entirely, although I think the Xboxes tend to be better in terms of hardware than the PlayStations. It comes down to games, and I think the proposition for Sony's always had a stronger first party lineup, unfortunately. So I think this is going to change in the next generation, because Microsoft are basically buying everyone they can to strengthen that first. I mean, Bethesda stands out, Obsidian stands out, there's loads of others. Was it Ninja Theory as well?
Ninja, yeah. Senua's Sacrifice is on the horizon.
So, yeah, but I actually, for the Xbox 360 generation, I was entirely a PC gamer at the time, and I do have a couple of 360 controllers lying around in this office somewhere that I use for things like playing FIFA on. So that's an Xbox One, Chris.
I know. I think it's an Xbox controller. Just giving it a little tickle.
It's one of them. I've always admired the hardware, but when I've always had to weigh up which do I go Xbox or do I go Sony, the first party titles and Sony always pushed me that way.
Yeah, I have to say, before we get into the game discussion, one thing that I actually think Microsoft do better. Now, you guys might disagree with me, particularly Chris might particularly disagree with me on this. I actually think their achievement system is a lot better.
Oh, 100%.
Like the point system. It is categorically the best achievement system out there, like for game rewards. It's sort of gamifying the system, I think, really.
Yeah, as someone who is currently 10 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and due to the PlayStation 5 not coming until next Thursday, yesterday, for those listening on YouTube free feeds, I've had to start that game, and I'm no longer playing the game until next Thursday because my trophy list restarts on PlayStation 5. So the 2 trophies I've currently got for doing the epilogue and complete 10 open world quests, they've popped, but they will categorize as a PlayStation 4 trophy list.
Oh.
And when I download the PS5 iteration of the game, that starts a whole new list off. Whereas with Xbox, it would just be achievements across the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, pros and cons. And obviously, they track their achievements brilliantly as well. So if you're heading towards like 20 of collectibles of something, it will tell you 15 of 20 found.
Yes. So
you can monitor a lot more in which PlayStation 5 have remedied. That's a new feature for theirs. But yeah, I mean, they launched achievements before Sony even thought about trophies. So, and now we're just waiting
sort of like defined it really.
And now we're just waiting for Nintendo to catch up with any kind of system like that. But like I said, let's talk about the games then. That's what we are here for. I, for one, have been using Game Pass Ultimate for a lot of the PC deliveries. I'm a massive like Age of Empires fan. I've played things like Ori and Will of the Wisps. And there's a couple of things. Gears, I've dabbled in Gears in the 360 era and stuff. So, again, admired from a distance, but at the end of the day, financial constraints have always had me lean towards one or the other. And I was a PlayStation kid growing up, so naturally I gravitate towards that. And what Richie mentioned, their first party offerings are just smashing out the park. God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Uncharted, like, they are just my
That's next week.
That's next week. That is true. Yeah, that is next week. So let's start things off.
I'm in for next week.
Let's start things off then. let's go with in that number. So these are the list. This is listed from Games Radar, the top Xbox games of all time. There will be inevitably some multi-platform ones, which we'll talk about. But I would like to start things off, gentlemen, with Cuphead. Cuphead, the lovely animated cartoon game. I have played it on Nintendo Switch. Funnily enough, didn't come up in last week's conversation because it was so peppered with Nintendo exclusives. Either of you two played this title?
Yes.
Thoughts?
I love the suffering that this game causes. As somebody who again has like games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro near and dear to my heart, this is sort of like I eat this shit for breakfast. I love it, absolutely love it. I love the art style. I think it's fantastic. That sort of like old school era Disney, isn't it? Really.
The original Mickey, like, Silly Symphonies,
1930s cartoon stuff.
It's stunning.
Really?
Yeah, it 100% is. That for me was the biggest thing that sold me on this game was the art. Being a massive Disney fan, it was like, yes, this looks gorgeous. What then let me down was the difficulty, because we've all seen how I cope with Monster Boy, and I think I got to the third island. And I just got stuck at a boss fight. I think it was like the two frogs maybe who kind of like double up on each other, and I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I would have loved that art style to be applied to just a more friendly platformer, because I would have played the shit out of it. But unfortunately, the difficulty spike did wane me off wanting to continue anymore. Okay. But it's a tough game, but yeah, looks gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. For me, this falls firmly in the category of a game that I really admire what they've done. I think it's a fantastic concept. But I've never had any interest in playing it myself, because it's just a game that I know I wouldn't enjoy.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, when you say like, that's fantastic for someone else.
For somebody else, yeah. Appreciate it from a distance, like many amazing titles. Like Sekiro, again, Tom, I know you're absolutely loving that right now. I won't touch that with a barge pole just because of the difficulty, because I don't enjoy it, unfortunately. You know what I'm like. I like give me the Ubisoft waypoints in a straight line mission to get something, and I'll do that.
Oh yeah, and leave me to have an hour to 2 hours of trying to like repeatedly blunt my face against the brick wall that is the next boss of the game before I can make any sort of progress whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd like to give Sekiro a go, but if I get, when it's a game that you're not expecting to enjoy, so I don't really want to drop money on it.
Yeah. I'd like to watch you play Sekiro one time, Tom. Just to see how you cope with the pain and suffering.
I've got thoughts.
Brilliant. So moving on to our next game then, Tile. We couldn't have an Xbox conversation without the Halo Master Chief Collection, which is arguably one of the best collection/remaster of all time. Like, Halo defined a generation. It put 360 on the map. It defined shooters in probably a way that many others hadn't done before. I've dabbled in and out of various Halo games ever since college and just friends. I know, Richie, we've got a couple of friends who are like massive Halo nuts. And the Master Chief Collection in particular, I recently just watched a full playthrough series of somebody going through the first game. And they are what they are. The remaster ones are great, and the fact that Xbox is supporting arguably their flagship IP to this day with some of the legacy games with up-res textures and everything, and backwards compatibility, and online, we should definitely say that, because online's a huge, if not one of the most important parts of Halo. Supporting the older games, online servers and stuff to this date is phenomenal work.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things about this that I think are incredible as well. Not just the fact that you can play all of the older games like with brand new overhauled graphics, but the fact that you can even switch that and go back to the games as they previously looked. Like, you don't have that with any other remaster that's come out so far. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Like, with the multiplayer as well. Multiplayer with Halo titles was a massive thing for me at university. And even today, like with the announcement of the newer Halo games coming to next gen, you've got esports teams that are out there that are creating teams like exclusively for it. It's so categorical in that sort of like sci-fi shooter genre. Like it defined Xbox as it is today. Like, without Halo, I'm going to go out on a whim and say this, without Halo, it would not be anywhere near as successful as it is today.
The original Halo Combat Evolved is why the original Xbox succeeded. Sometimes is that much of a tentpole IP for the gaming industry, not just for Microsoft. There's a few games where, especially the multiplayer is just remembered so fondly throughout the decades, like
LAN parties.
GoldenEye 007 from Nintendo 64. Things like Counter-Strike, Halo.
Time Splurs
up there too. Like, and yeah, the Master Chief Collection. I've never really actually been one that's that bothered by Halo, but again, it's another one that I've always appreciated from a distance.
Yeah.
And I just wish there was more titles driving me more to Xbox historically, so I would give the game, something like Halo, a bit more of a chance, because it just comes out. I probably would really enjoy playing through the campaigns if I had the hardware. But
well, you can do it with Game Pass Ultimate on PC, Richie.
I could. I actually could. To be honest, I'm probably not going to, because I'm pretty bogged down with games as is.
Well, yeah, I
mean,
this time of the year and next gen, everything is crazy.
One day I will play Halo.
Maybe it might come to Stadia. The great thing with Microsoft is they seem open to everything. Cuphead, we just covered, was obviously on Switch, along with some of the other titles we're about to talk about. Minecraft is another one that's like everywhere. Ooh. Albeit these were acquired after. We don't know what their plans are with Bethesda. I would hate to think of a world where us players on Stadia and PlayStation stuff never get to play another Fallout game or another Wolfenstein game or something, which it's a horrible future to think of. But with Game Pass being across so many platforms, is it that big of a deal? Like, I can play those games on my PC, so that's a conversation for maybe 5 years from now.
Money in someone else's pocket, basically, really. But yeah,
I'll make a pledge now. If a Halo game comes to Stadia, I'll buy it and play it.
I'd go with that as well, Richie. I think that's a safe. I would be the same because like you, I've not had a chance to enjoy them probably for what they were, and I think at the time we were playing probably PlayStation 3 and stuff, we had many friends who were doing crazy Halo Combat Evolved shooter raid parties. Moving on to the next game, probably not on everybody's Xbox list, but it certainly is for me because I've finished the game to completion. That is Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it specifically makes this list for me because it was exclusive to Xbox for one whole year, and that on that exclusive conversation, that pissed off a lot of people, this guy included. I had to wait an entire year to play this game, and as a massive Tomb Raider fan and a big fan of the first reboot game, it was a long, arduous wait. But it came out and it's phenomenal, and I look forward to us all playing it as a 3 on Stadia finally, when this goddamn lockdown pandemic will do one, and we can all get in a room together and enjoy a game together.
You've just touched on something there. It's like, so far we keep picking games that I haven't played. So it's quite difficult to talk about. But the reason I haven't played Rise of the Tomb Raider is we are still planning to make content around that, and I want to go in blind.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, agreed. Exactly. Same here. Exactly the same here.
That's why I have it. It's there on Stadia, ready to go. I'm waiting for the opportunity for us to make content out of it.
Yeah.
Certainly. There's a couple of other games that are on this list. You've got that we'll just probably breeze past because they are multi-platform, and we are going to specially dedicate a week to the best multi-platform ones. You've got Sekiro is on there, which no doubt Game of the Year last year for a lot of outlets. Tom currently playing through it now, so we've gushed and talked about that at length. Wolfenstein 2 is on there, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil 2. Again, multi-platform, so we don't want to focus too much on them. Let's see, what have we got? Come on, Xbox, give us an exclusive. Titanfall 2 is on here, but that did go multi-platform. But specifically, I think Titanfall 1 was Xbox exclusive, which is probably the first, if not one of the only games that the original was exclusive and then went multi-platform. But it was by a third-party publisher in EA. Very weird deal hashed out here. Titanfall 2, though, revered as one of the best shooters of the generation. And for the fluidity and the wall running and everything, it's kind of all of the perks and best features of Titanfall are now what we look at when we talk about Apex Legends. They took all the best bits of that and put it into a Battle Royale game, and look how well Apex Legends is doing. Either of you two played a Titanfall game?
Yeah, I actually played quite a lot of it when it came out on a different platform as part of a certain Pro/Plus sort of service.
Okay, Pro/Plus.
But yeah. No, I played a lot of it. I really enjoyed it. I actually think it is, as you say, it's very it's unique. It's a shooter plus, like, it's got extra things that make it just a lot more fun. Really.
See,
grappling,
for me,
wall running.
I'm trying not to be really negative on this podcast, but these sort of shooter games just don't interest me at all. I get bored very, very quickly with them. They just don't capture my attention for long. I'll play for a couple of hours, have a good time, and then switch the game off and never go back to it. I did exactly the same thing with Destiny 2 when it first came to Stadia. I put like a couple of days into it just to get the grips of the game. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like,
do you think
things like Titanfall, like Halo, like Destiny, I'm just not that.
Do you think you've just grown out of, because I'm the same, Richie. Like, I think something for me to do with first-person games where my preference is 100% third person, and I think there's something about seeing your character in the world allows. I don't know. I just like that perspective. Just works better for me. Whereas first-person ones, I think I've just grew out of them almost.
I wouldn't put it down to first person. It's for me. It's specifically first-person shooters. I think it's a genre that has so many great games and has for so long. I've just got massively fatigued on the genre.
Oversaturated,
the entire genre.
Yeah.
Or anything resembling the genre no longer jumps out at me as anything really particularly interesting. Even things like Titanfall, that adding cool, quirky mechanics to it, it's still ultimately the core gameplay is the same. It's still a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So.
No, I same. Like, again, I think what I mean.
Yeah, like
first person stuff like Call of Duty and stuff. I used to buy them annually, and I used to love them. And then just felt like fatigue. Just like stopped buying them. It just felt like more of the same. And same with FIFA. Again, I stopped buying FIFA as well. I think it was just like fatigue on just being annualized. Especially if there's no story. But Titanfall 2 did bring a campaign, and it's revered as one of the best shooter campaigns ever after the first game didn't have it. And again, this is what almost put Respawn on the map for a lot of people. They did this, went on to Apex, and then smashed out the park with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So they've had a run, like an absolute home run of titles recently, and Titanfall kind of kicked off that kind of like straight A run for them. So I'm excited to see what comes next. There's definitely going to be a Titanfall 3, but I'd imagine their focus is now split. But they've done so well, they've almost split their studio between the next Star Wars game and then Apex is obviously constantly seasonal, ever evolving. So we'll probably be waiting for a while for the next Titanfall one.
Apex, I'd like to jump in with you too if it ever comes to Stadia. I think that'd be a great time.
We hope. There's still hope.
I mean, we're still waiting on that final EA announcement, aren't we? So maybe I was going to say maybe on Thursday, maybe yesterday for people listening on free feeds. We may live in a world where Apex and many of these games could be coming their way over to Stadia.
But we won't speculate on things that happened in the past.
No, or the future for backwards listeners.
Time travel.
But we can't talk about Microsoft as well without talking about their juggernaut powerhouse that is the Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon series. Whichever title you pick out, you can put any number on these games and they look stellar. Wow, they are like the piece de resistance of graphic fidelity, showcasing colour, lighting, all that kind of stuff. Again, similar to the shooter campaign, I've just fell out of love of racing games because they just don't do enough to engage with anymore. I love them for what they are. They showcase the new tech like no one's business.
I think graphically, races tend to be the most prettiest games you can get. Like
it's insane.
Graphics.
It's insane as simulations, like how like the whole concept of a simulation is to try to put you in an environment where you get to forget about certain restrictions of the real world. Yet it still looks that damn good. And I think with Horizon in particular as well is it's not so hardcore like Motorsport in terms of being like a sim. It's got that perfect edge of it being an arcadey title where you can actually just really enjoy what you're doing. And I would have to say, like, I'd go out on a whim and say this, like, the Horizon series is probably the best arcade racer, like, out of any sort of racing franchise. I'd put it ahead of The Crew, or anything similar to that now.
Gran
Even Need for
Turismo?
Speed at this point.
Micro
GT is a sim, isn't it, at this point, really?
True. Yeah. Oh,
but like in terms of arcade racer, the Horizon series is just like, you keep doing you because that's insane. That's insanely good.
It pretty much killed Need for Speed.
Yeah.
It's always the one you stick in a retail shop to showcase the new console as well. You've got that Xbox stand, the 2 controllers, and it's always, when you go into the shop, the car's always like crashed into the side where the last player's just left it abandoned on like lap 3 of 20 or something. And you pick it up and go, I'm in last place.
The graphics, this is what you go with. Again, I think the overarching theme for me with Xbox, as we're going through this list, is it's a fantastic console full of fantastic games that I'm not particularly interested in.
Yeah.
Oof.
But on the flip side of a coin, there'll be people who don't like third-person games and that, and just
buy
if you just buy the shooters, the racing games and the sports games every year annually, and you want the best-looking stuff, it's amazing. If
my games library was mainly Call of Duty, FIFA, and some like racing games, I probably wouldn't have a PlayStation 4 sat downstairs. It'd be an Xbox One.
Yeah, because you can see from that. But you can see from that alone where a lot of the success of Microsoft, like the Xbox, comes from. Yeah. Just like there are people out there, and there are huge audiences out there who specifically play those games.
Yeah, and I don't think we can discount as well the way the kind of generations grew and evolved. In my mind, the way I picture it is everyone who grew up when Modern Warfare 2 kicked off and shooters were amazing, and then FIFA became like this juggernaut that just shit all over Pro Evolution Soccer. Right? There used to be a time when you compared the two year on year. And then now just FIFA's gone above and beyond to a point where that is just the go-to football soccer game every year without a question of a doubt. And Call of Duty became this like big, massive, annualized, multi-million-dollar thing. And like you said, Richie, I think as I've grew up and I've just kind of pulled away from the fatigue that is shooters and sports titles and racing games, I then gravitate towards the story ones, which is traditionally the Sony first-party games, which is probably why I've enamored myself with PlayStation. If I was still an annualized, out-and-out shooter, racer, sports game, I probably would sit more in Microsoft camp right now because you're getting the best graphic fidelity, arguably, from their machines because they always come out and say it's the most powerful console. Albeit there was that little window where I think the Sony PlayStation Pro was the best. And Sony marketed the shit out of that for like 6 months until the next Xbox came out, and then they became the most powerful console. So
but for the majority of the generation, Microsoft have had the better hardware.
100%. I mean, they make computers for a living. What do you expect from the Microsoft people?
So many game consoles.
Yeah, I did laugh though. Did you see on Twitter when the Xbox launched last week? Microsoft's Twitter account tweeted out saying, "How are you doing? Are you winning, son?" ? And the Xbox one replied to it saying, "Yes, Dad." That was like a cute little parental back and forth family vibe. Their social accounts are hitting it out the park at the moment as well over at Microsoft. Speaking of interesting things, next game up on our list is the one and only Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Available on Switch as well, which is again it's weird cross-pollination titles. It's not a Microsoft first-party studio, but it is kind of published by them.
It was a Microsoft exclusive for quite a while.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and then it started to go across. But even the newer title has came out. Ori and what's the second one called? Why am I blanking on this? I've played it. Will of the Wisps and
so Will of the Wisps is the newest one. The previous one was Ori and the Blind Forest.
That's right. Oh yeah. I'm getting confused with Ari and the Secret of Seasons game on Stadia. That just came out, and I was like, No, that's not right.
No. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is the sequel.
Right. Either had a chance to play that on Switch or Xbox?
Yes. I actually played this on with the xCloud beta on my phone, and I finally got a chance to play it because I really wanted to play it for the longest time, and I was just sort of like really bummed out that you couldn't get it anywhere else other than those platforms. Beautiful games, absolutely beautiful games, incredible storytelling. The gameplay is fantastic. 2D game with almost that 3D background sort of feel to it. The way that it has like the layers that sort of move with the world. It's a brilliant game. It's an absolutely fantastic game for anybody who hasn't tried it yet. Like, you are missing out. It's
I am.
Yeah. There's not a lot to say about it other than without like just play it. Yeah. You have to experience it.
Blind Forest is one of them games. If when it came out, I had the ability to play it, I would have played the shit out of that game. Yeah. And it's still on the list of games I want to play at some point.
Yeah. This is one, yeah.
Yeah, as you get more and more removed from the release, you get bogged down with other games, and one day I'm hoping I'll find myself going, there's nothing I particularly want to play right now, I'll buy Ori.
Yeah, this is one I would recommend from what I've played from it. Again, similar to Tom, I did it on the Game Pass Ultimate, played it on my phone to trial out the xCloud beta, and played it a little bit on PC as well. And this is definitely probably in your wheelhouse, Richie, of like not only the art style, but the type of game. Yeah, you see it take like a year of work.
I'm going to take care of my backlog of games that I've always wanted to play but never give a shot to, even if I don't complete them.
Yeah, and then adult things will come along, like you need to put up your Christmas decorations and do all the crap, like clean the garden, whatever it may be. Clean the garden, yeah, why not?
Wash the grass.
Wash the grass, yeah, comb it, go across it like that.
I need to comb the grass.
Comb the grass. Next up, we've got, I'll probably skip past this again, Control, but I'm going to gush about that when we get to our third-party week discussion. Fortnite is in here, but again, like, we're going to talk about that.
Every platform.
Every platform. And mobile and everything, yeah. Next one, that's probably a big title for this generation, Gears 5.
Yeah.
Obviously,
definitely.
we had a kind of little gap between Gears 4. They've done a few spin-offs. I know Gears Tactics has recently just dropped on Xbox launch day as well. That's been revered quite well. They've got the little Funko Pop games that I think is coming out on mobile, is it? It's called? Yeah. Gears... Is it called Gears Pop? There is a little Funko Pop game. I can't remember what. No, it's not Tactics. Might be Tactics. Either way, there's lots of Gears games out there. But Gears 5, Gears Pop. The Gears 5 is the kind of the new take on this one. Yes. I remember distinctly playing, just loving the survival, the waves on Gears games. That's my go-to thing with a couch co-op, fun play with your friends. This is it for me. Either of you two spent much time in the world of Gears?
1, 2, and 3. Skipped 4. I've heard incredible things about 5 and actually sort of like getting back to basics with the art of the storytelling and having like deep characters that you can really sort of engage with and sort of just like really grasp that storytelling element of it, while still having that sort of I wouldn't say Gears is a game that has elements of fear to it, but like it's very gory, it's very dark in that sense, isn't it? Really visceral.
Yeah, the chainsaw thing cutting through the locust. Yeah.
But yeah, again, you can't have a discussion about Xbox without talking about Gears these days. It's got to be there. What's that? After Halo being their flagship, it's got to be the sort of like ancillary flagship sort of title, hasn't it? Really.
That's one of my go-to when I think of Xbox. It is Halo and Gears, and then you've got like Forza and another couple of other little things underneath that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly the same. I haven't played it because I've never owned an Xbox, so it's one of the games that I always hear a lot about and people gushing about, and so if I'm ever have an Xbox, I'll play it.
Yeah. You know what would be an ideal world for you, Richie, and probably me as well, is if for whatever reason, it'll never happen, but imagine if just like Sony just went bust, disappeared, touch wood, they never will, and just and then they like their servers got shut down and PS5 was like an absolute failure, and then you picked up like a Series S or just Game Pass for your PC. You because of the way they do backwards compatibility, you could just go back and play the Halo collection, all the Gears games, Ori, all of these amazing titles from years gone by, and just enjoy them without the Sony looming threat of big titles breathing down your neck. Maybe when we're retired.
Do you remember God of War? How much you love that? Yeah, we've got another one for you. Or Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Like, stop doing this. I have too many platforms. Yeah. Sorry, Microsoft.
Just games in general. Like,
I don't have time to play you.
Like this winter, I was speaking to one of my friends the other day about like, he said, he's got not got much to play, and I was like, I messaged him back with a list of like Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs, Immortals, Valhalla, Miles Morales, and there's just so much. I haven't touched FIFA yet because it's not out on Stadia, so I'm waiting for that, and there's just so many things to play right now. It's an amazing time to be a gamer across the board.
Yeah. Unfortunately, someone asked asked me this out, so I found myself when it's because I already committed. Okay, I'm getting one console. It's going to be PlayStation. So anything that is like stuck up a first party Microsoft title, I've kind of just not paid too much attention to, just because I don't want to go sit there, watch loads of trailers, hear loads of people gush about Gears 5 for a game I'm never going to play.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there are a few on this list that do just kind of become lesser because of the third-party stuff. I for one, I think, was it Quantum Break from Remedy who made Control? That looked really interesting to me, and then because it was locked behind the Microsoft before Game Pass and everything, I just never got around to play it. It had Iceman from X-Men, and it had very similar things to Control. Really, really appealed to me. Looked more like a Sony game in my opinion, but then it was on there. Probably the next game we want to move on to though, it is on every platform, but we should not ignore it because I think it's huge. It's one of the biggest games in the world, Minecraft. Obviously owned by Mojang, is now owned by the Microsoft Corporation. So Minecraft Dungeons recently came out as well. Obviously not as big as the OG Minecraft. I don't know what your two takes are. I love Minecraft. It's just Lego, and again, as an adult, I still burn away. I haven't played it in probably a couple of years, but when it first came out, I thought my first take was, "What is this shit? What is this pixelated mess of a game?" And then as soon as you start playing and you understand, I get it now. We're creating, we're collaborating, we're trying to survive. It's one of those games that I don't think will ever go away. The fact that there were kids, and Tom being a teacher, I know they use it in schools quite a bit as well for teaching coding and other such things. You were nodding a lot there. What's your take on Minecraft? Because this kind of predates our friends.
Yeah, I used to stream Minecraft back in the early 2010s.
Where are these videos at?
Oh, these were on a website that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, livestream.com. Livestream.com, precursor to twitch.tv and justin.tv, which is what twitch.tv came from. Yeah, good times. It was fantastic, though. I used to play the shit out of that game. And then I migrated over to PS4 to play it. So current gen / last gen at this point. Last gen. Wow, that's going to be weird
to say and probably get wrong several times over the next month or so.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I love me some Minecraft. It's come a very long way. I played it from the alpha, so it was really, really early stuff when I used to play it. And I've just watched it grow, develop, get sold to Microsoft, continue to grow, have so many spin-offs. Yeah.
What's the most
for itself.
What's the most grand thing you ever built in Minecraft?
I used to spend a lot of time finding a location in sort of a weird landscape and sort of building a castle around the environment. So it was always castles, but it was always castles raised above the ground, sort of just encompassing the land around it rather than actually sort of yeah. I'll see if I can find a save.
3D Lego,
see if I can
right?
pick one out.
3D Lego.
3D Lego.
For me, Minecraft, I think it's a game that I would have got really, really into if it didn't come out at the height of me playing World of Warcraft, when all my gaming time went to Warcraft, and a couple of other titles here. And I remember playing Dragon Age Origins one day, then dropped out of that to go raid Lich King. So I was when I was at university and stuff, it's all my gaming time went on World of Warcraft. So Minecraft I think I just aged out. By the time I played Minecraft, the game was already 5 years old. I think I'd already aged out of it by then.
Yeah. I get that. But
again, another game that I massively respect, and there's some phenomenal people out there playing Minecraft, and some of the stuff they've done is just basically insane.
Oh yeah. My biggest creation I ever made was I attempted to make Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings, of course.
That's a bit ambitious.
Hey, you know what? I made a damn good go at it. Nothing on the level of the people you see online who've created the whole entirety of Middle Earth in game.
I was going to say, have you seen it?
Yeah,
it looks
beautiful.
Incredible now.
Mine was very much if that was Pablo Picasso drawing of Middle Earth, mine was very much a 5-year-old attempt at making it with Lego blocks and stuff instead. I tell you what, interesting. I don't know why I mentioned that there, but do you know, Pat, when there's a random off-spin shoot topic of this Microsoft gaming discussion, putting you two on the spot now without Googling it, when do you think Pablo Picasso died? Give us a rough year. Throw it out. Go, Tom.
Oh, Picasso's 1950 something, I think.
Richie?
I think it's more modern than that. I think you think of him because he's one of the great painters. You think of bygone era, but I think he's actually fairly modern, isn't he? So I want to say the 80s.
Richie's closer. Yeah, I found this is it. 1973.
Wow,
that's insane.
Yeah.
I'm picturing the Renaissance era with Da Vinci.
Yeah, no, I'm with Richie on it. I think there's a massive misconception with that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You think that great artists all came from hundreds of years ago, but no, some of them are fairly new.
It's crazy. Same with the Eiffel Tower was commissioned when Starry Night was painted as well by Van Gogh.
Yeah. Crazy. Talking about Van Gogh, did you ever see the Doctor Who episode with Van Gogh on it?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I really did.
Cool.
That scene when they take him to the Louvre is fantastic.
Yeah, there's loads of touch points. We needed a separate podcast for this type of stuff.
Sorry,
it's separate. Back to the. Actually, before we get back to the games, one final one. Do you know Queen Elizabeth II, our current reigning monarch, was born the same year as Marilyn Monroe? There you go. There's another one for you. Anyway, random facts out the side. Let's go over to some of the other games that Microsoft put out there.
Let's finish this podcast.
I can't even remember how we got onto Picasso. Did I just say Picasso randomly and then a fact came into my mind?
We were talking about Minecraft.
Minecraft, of course, yeah. See, the power of games, it creates it creates your mind to go crazy. Minecraft. There you go. There's a game for you. Copyright infringement pending. Other titles I did touch on right at the beginning of the show. Sea of Thieves was probably one of the first games I believe came to Game Pass as like a day and date exclusive. It's getting bigger and better. It's obviously from Rare. Who, Richie, I know you've played some Rare games in the past.
Oh yeah, I played the shit out of Rare games.
Going way back to N64.
Yeah, the Nintendo 64 wouldn't be a good console if not for Rare.
Arguably very true, yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, you still have Mario and Zelda, and Ocarina of Time is amazing.
Did I do GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
GoldenEye was Rare.
Wow. Wonderful.
Banjo-Kazooie, Rare. If you think of most of the big titles that aren't Nintendo first party, it's Rare.
So that now here they are now then, swashbuckling their way across the seven seas with Sea of Thieves. I really appreciate the concept of Sea of Thieves, and I feel like it's what maybe Ubisoft wants Skull and Bones to be when they finally pull the finger out and get around to finishing that game off. Like an ever-present world of evolving like missions with your crew on board your ship, fighting krakens and pirates and such, and pillaging and raiding other islands and ships. The premise is great. It just, again, it seems to have been muted because it's on Game Pass. It's kind of lost within that ether of just like 100 free games to try out. Like movies on Netflix, there's almost so many in the list. How does this like bubble and fall to the top or the bottom? I know it reviewed okay, and then it's after support.
A bit light. I think content-wise, it wasn't a bit light on launch, so that's probably harmed it a little bit in terms of early sales. Yeah. But it's one of them games. You're getting that sort of game for the long haul rather than I'm going to play for a couple of hours and move on. So it's going to get better and better. Like No Man's Sky, it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think with it being on Game Pass as well, it's one of those titles that you may not want to drop $50, $60 onto, but with it being free as part of your subscription, you're probably infinitely more likely to go and try it out and then maybe start playing it and enjoy it. So yeah, Sea of Thieves is one that would be on my radar if I had an Xbox as well. A couple that definitely weren't. Crackdown 3, that was a poor exclusive out from Xbox. Didn't revert too well. I can't even think of many others. They've really not been firing on all cylinders this last generation, which I know we mentioned at the top of the show. Hopefully all the new acquisitions and of like the 20 odd studios they've got will really ramp it up, because Hellblade, the sequel to that should be amazing. The trailer they dropped in January at the
phenomenal.
Was it January or was it the Game Awards they dropped it with the Xbox
Game Awards, I think it was,
because it was the Xbox stealth drop, wasn't it, of the new Series X, and then they launched it with Senua as well, which is like looks stunning.
Team over at Ninja doing some incredible things as well with like the stuff they're ramping up lately. Fantastic stuff.
See, what we can say is over the last couple of years, Microsoft have been doing, I think they have taken the criticism. Come out the 360 era, they were the Call of Duty box. Everyone was playing Call of Duty, everyone was buying Xboxes. I think that didn't work for them this generation. So now towards the end of it, they started picking up these cool developers, bring them under the Microsoft umbrella, and I think you're going to see a very strong first-party lineup from Microsoft in the next generation.
Yeah, I think we can all agree.
And Games Pass is going to make it even better as a proposition.
Yeah, 100%. Another game I never did get around to playing, Sunset Overdrive from Insomniac. I think that's one that gets forget about, but it was very, very well reviewed, very revered, and I think a lot of what you now see in their Spider-Man games is the foundation of what they learned making Sunset Overdrive. Shame we'll probably never see a sequel to it anymore, or at least, I mean, Sony bought Insomniac, so
Stadia, we'll play it, and then you'll get a lot of sales and make a sequel.
But it depends who makes the judgments now, because Sony bought Insomniac, and now they've got Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, and what's the third one they make? Oh, they've got Resistance franchise as well.
Yeah, it's probably then, if you're going to go for a fourth title, it's probably going to be a new IP then, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll see. We shall see. Maybe one day. But yeah, that's a shame one. And maybe they can pass the license on to somebody else. Stadia, buy it. Dig deep on your birthday, which was yesterday or next week, depending on when you're watching this. Just start acquiring. Stadia are going to be left out in the race, right? If they don't, there's going to be no one left. Codemasters have gone now. Bethesda's gone. There's not many left.
WB are no longer up for sale.
Well, money talks though.
For now, yeah.
Until the Batman
Money
games come out.
talks.
Yeah,
And
money
what's
talks.
up for sale, but if you drop enough gold, I'd imagine it's one of those situations. Yeah, we'll take your gold.
Exactly. But that brings it pretty much to an end of our list for Microsoft. Again, apologies anyone out there who is a die-hard Microsoft fan and you're thinking we've missed some stellar titles or we've not spoke about your favourite game with the most revered fandom. But the reality is there's only so many hours in the day and we're all human. And I guarantee you there are games you've played that I've not played and that I've played and you've not played. Like Micro Machines, V3 Rage. Throwback to that. But I think
not bitter.
I'm not bitter at all. But I think we can all agree that if you do have a Microsoft, or in terms of games of a generation, there's some absolutely stellar titles on there which hopefully you'll get around to playing at some point in your life. Whether you're in your retirement, Richie, combing your grass in the garden, or Tom, you're digging out 10-year-old, 50-year-old videos of you playing on, what was it? What was the website?
Livestream.com.
Livestream.com. Either way, they'll hopefully be re-envisioned some point for the future generations to come because we are now in next gen alongside PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Google Stadia, Amazon Luna, PC, Nintendo Switch, potentially Pro soon, and everything else under the video gaming. There's so many things. Did you see Nintendo brought out a Game & Watch console handheld this week with Super Mario 1 and 2? There's just so much to play, guys. And then that's not even talking about all the shitty mobile games you can play. Farmville, Angry Birds and such.
But Facebook gaming now as well, that's a thing.
Facebook gaming, it's just everyone. It's everyone. But more importantly, for gamers, it's an amazing time to be alive. So thank you very much for tuning into episode 17 of the post show. Another long one because, again, we can talk about games all day long, everybody. Yeah. Absolutely gush till the cows come home, as they say. Those Minecraft cows.
Get that cash milk.
Get that cash milk. That's a throwback as
Money
well.
milk from the cash cows.
Money milk from the cash cows. But thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by, of course, for the post show. Don't remember, if you want to get the show early, you can do by heading over to patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where you can sub to us for 79 pence, $1. And get it early. Get it on the Sunday, Monday when we drop it exclusively super early. Thank you for tuning in for this post show discussion. Join us next week where we'll be covering PlayStation or third party, one of the two, in our games of a generation discussion. So thank you for stopping by.
We'll PlayStation next week.
Well, PlayStation. If you decided that, have you now?
Yeah. So then we'll get the consoles done.
All right, fair enough. That makes sense. We may even look at PC. We'll see how it goes. My name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia for the post show. Do you want to sing us out, gentlemen?
It's the post show. It's the post show. This is the post show.
And now come to the outro.
That's flighting.